Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rule royal peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Ainan. The title of the video is Iran claims 10,000 km ICBM test. All right. And basically, this is capable of reaching America, you know.
Iran now has capabilities to hit the White House directly and anywhere it wishes inside the American soil should the United States carry out a strike against Iran. Previously, the equation was if the United States did attack Iran alongside Israel or without Israel, Iran could potentially eliminate all of the American bases in West Asia or the Middle East, alongside targeting other assets that belong to the United States of America. However, in the past couple of days, this video has been published in what has been reported to be an Iranian missile test for an intercontinental ballistic missile, an ICBM, that has a capacity to reach 10,000 kilometers, according to several reports. Now, before we get into the resemblance of this missile and where it actually was tested, let's show you the rest of the videos that were published. There was another video on social media, this one over here, of this missile being tested. It was from Iran, from Iranian territories, going to a location that you might find interesting, Siberia. Siberia, and also in coordination with Russia. Russia, why? Well, because it really does resemble the Russian Oreshnik. Russia published several videos of its Oreshnik previously, and there is a very, very big resemblance of this missile and the Russian Oreshnik that we saw not long ago. Well, it was used in 2024 and also in 2026, very recently as well, towards the end of 2025, early 2026. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, we do understand that this means that there's a coordination here between Russia and Iran, because the report spoke about the missile reaching Siberia in full coordination with Russia. But are there other indications that Iran was actually launching a 10,000 kilometer missile? Well, there are multiple reports, one of them in Defense Security Asia, saying that Iran claims to test a 10,000 kilometer missile, but they were quoting a figure in Iran saying that Iran 2 days ago tested something that it has never tested before, according to Mohsen Zangane, a member of the Iranian Majlis, who publicly stated, the night before yesterday, we tested one of the country's most advanced missiles that had never been tested before, and the test was successful. So there are statements from within Iran, not really confirming that it was 10,000 kilometers, that was an intercontinental ballistic missile or an ICBM capable of reaching any point in the world, literally. But that doesn't mean that they did it. Why? Well, because the Western establishment has been speaking about the fact that Iran has been working on getting a technology of missiles that would reach 10,000 kilometers and potentially beyond as well, because from a Western perspective, they knew that Iran was working on these projects. They already have an advanced missile project, and they have, well, missiles that they can be launched to space. Therefore, it's not something that would be beyond Iran's capabilities. However, the messages behind this are greater than the act itself. Firstly, well, there's almost a confirmation, and mind you, that might be more important and dangerous than a confirmation outright, because if Iran would outright confirm, then they would expose their actual capabilities. Some reports said that Iran already has nuclear weapons without declaring. Khurram Shahar, for example, one of their
All right, so and the scriptures, speak on this, right? And I have this. I pulled up the article here also, right? So you can see the website and everything. So it is a real article that I pulled up. It goes into it pretty much. You said everything that the guy said and whatnot. The scriptures tell us that the dragons of Arabia, right, with the Carmenians will come with their own star. So ultimately, Iran will come with their own star, and this lines perfectly with Jeremiah 51, right? And going to Ezekiel 38 also, right? And I'll get some of these scriptures here. This is Second Ezra chapter 15, and verse 28. It says, "Behold, in horrible vision, in the appearance thereof from the east." Now we understand and know that pursuant to Ezekiel 38, Jeremiah 51, that the Medes will be the captain and many nations will be joined with the Medes, right, which is Russia, to attack America and Israel. So, and we understand and know that Russia and Iran are tight. They tight right now. Best friends basically. It says, "Behold, in horrible vision, the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble." And ultimately, we understand and know that this is talking about nuclear missiles, right? Because America will be destroyed with nuclear missiles, right? And Russia will be the captain thereof, and Russia already has nuclear missiles, right? It says, "Where the nations, multiple of the dragons of Arabia, shall come out with many chariots." So this could go into, that whole area. Uh, Iran, maybe Iraq, right? We know Turkey is going to be joined in that area, right? And I pulled some things up here because, it's talking about an area or a region. It says, "Where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carmenians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Syrians." So the Iran, along with the dragons of Arabia, right, they're joining together. They're gonna come together, join battles together, and waste a portion of the land of Assyria, right? And that's why I got Jeremiah 51, because it says one. Let me go to it real quick. Right, which I'm gonna get this whole thing, but Jeremiah 51:31 says, "One post shall run to another, and one messenger to me another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end," right, "and that the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burnt with fire, and the men of war are frightened." And it says the mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight, right? So we're gonna get all of that. I'm gonna read it. It says, so reading this again, Second Ezra 15:30, it says, "Also the Carmenians, raging in wrath, shall go forth at the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Syrians. Then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature," right? So, we understand, the dragons talking about the dragons of Arabia, and we know that Ishmael is a wild man, right? Remembering their nature, they're gonna have the upper hand. It says, "And if they turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them." So we have the dragons of Arabia and the Carmenians coming together. It says, "Then shall these be troubled, bled, and keep their silence to their power, and shall flee." And ultimately talking about this, the Syrians fleeing. They, basically not wanting any smoke with Iran or anything like that. And we can already see that playing out on a small scale now, because they were supposed to attack Iran, but they stopped and turned around at the last minute. There's already reports coming out, because basically Iran is becoming a problem. It's not something easy for them to do. And all those dragons of Arabia, you got the United Arab Emirates, right, and all these different people in that area are telling them this is a bad idea to attack Iran, right? Turkey was saying it's a bad idea to attack Iran, right? We also know Turkey is going to be with Russia, right, and Iran when they attack America, right? It says, so verse 32 again says, then these shall be troubled, bled, and keep their silence through their power, and shall flee. And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them, and consume some of them, and in their host shall be fear and dread and strife among their kings. Right, basically becoming as men. Right, the scriptures say, the king of Babylon have heard a report of them, right, and his hands wax feeble. Let me grab that. Um, I'll look it up. I believe that's in Jeremiah 51 too, or 50. But I'll see real quick. Bear with me. Yeah, okay. So it's in Jeremiah 50. And I mean, I'll just get it from right here. This is Jeremiah 50 and 35, because this is exactly what's happening, right? You had this dude, Benjamin Netanyahu, talking about, the Iranians have weapons of mass destruction. They've been, speaking this thing forever, and it's true. I'm not going to say it's true as in they have it, but they will have it pursuant to prophecy, right? And they will use it pursuant to prophecy, okay? But we know Russia, pursuant to Ezekiel 38, is going to be the head of that, right? This is Jeremiah 50 and 35. It says, a sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai, upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars, and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their house. A sword is upon their horses, and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. A drought is upon her waters, where the thing is dried up, right? It says, and they shall be dried up. For it's the land of graven images, and they are mad upon the idols. Therefore, the wild beasts of the desert, uh, therefore the wild beasts of the desert with the wild beasts of the island shall dwell therein, dwell there. So ultimately, when America is destroyed, the only thing that will be left is these wild beasts and these animals, right? These desert creatures, and the owls shall dwell therein. And it shall be no more inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. As Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah in the neighbor city thereof, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmi, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. Behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. And that goes into Ezekiel 38, right? Ultimately, the kings being raised up, Russia ahead, all right? Says prophecy about Russia and future invasion of Israel, right? And pursuant to Jeremiah 50 and 45, we know that the least of flock, which is Israel, shall draw out America to war, right? And that's why America is helping Israel so heavy in these last days, because they're going to be destroyed together, all right? This is Ezekiel 38 and 30. It says, and say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai, behold, I'm against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, one is like Turkey. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaw. So Russia has become a great powerhouse in these last days. I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them equipped with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shield, all of them handling swords. Persia, which is Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya, Africa, right, Ham, with them, all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer, Germany, and all his bands, the house of Tokumar from North Quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee, right? So Turkey, and they're going to go against Israel, right? It says, be thou in America, be thou prepared and prepare thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So Russia is going to be the head of this thing, right? And Iran is going to be joined there. You got Turkey going to be in there, right? Many others. You get a what Obadiah 1:7, America's allies gonna turn on them. You get Revelations, I believe it's 17 or 18. So Revelation 17 and 16 says, "In the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire." So all the nuclear missiles we shot from these different people to America. And the 10 horn is talking about the EU NATO. And as you see, what's happening right now is that they're hating the whore. They're hating America because right now, what is America doing? Trying to take Greenland from them. They was like, yo, and we allies, right? So, that's what's happening, and they're going to be joint, with Russia, because Russia is going to be the chief, right, of the head that's going to go against uh, uh, Israel and America, and many people are going to be joined with Russia. So that includes America's allies, the former allies, NATO, EU. And guess what? What's happening now? Talks are back with NATO and EU regarding, Russia and Ukraine, where the case may be. So they already got that door open where they're talking. Meanwhile, America is telling them, "Give me your land, I'm gonna blow you up." So we can see what the Lord Yahweh Bashmel is doing. All right. So it says, Jeremiah 50:41, "Behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. They shall hold the bow and lance. They are cruel and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, everyone put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon." It says, "The king of Babylon hath heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as of a woman in travail." All right. And then ultimately we understand and know that at the end of that, Yahweh Shai pulls up. In the midst of that, Yahweh Shai pulls up. You get Isaiah 34, right? The Most High is against their armies. You get a second Ezra 13. Yahweh Shai pulls up with a gigantic battleship and ultimately burns up the army. And that's why you have Ezekiel 39, where it says, even though Russia, is the one that's gonna shoot those missiles, ultimately Russia is done away too. Russia's army, it gets done away too. So Ezekiel 39:1, it says, "Therefore, thou son of man, prophesy against God," right? "And say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I'm against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. And I will turn thee back and leave but the sixth part of thee, and will cause thee to come up from the north parts." So he's going to leave a portion, in Russia, but the rest of those armies are going to go fight that war, right? It says, "Now I will turn thee back and leave but the sixth part of thee, and I will cause thee to come up from the north parts, and will bring thee upon the mountains of Israel. And I will smite thy bow out of thy left hand, and will cause thine arrows to fall out of thy right hand. Thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Israel, thou and all thy bands, and the people that is with thee." So everyone joined with Russia, they're gonna go against Israel. It says, "I will give thee unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured." It says, "Thou shalt fall upon the open field, for I have spoken," it said the Lord Yahweh Bashmel. So ultimately, even though they do what they do, the Most High Yahweh Bashmel is going to ultimately, be done, do away with Russia's army also, right? Pursuant to Isaiah 34. It says, Ezekiel 39:6, "And I will send a fire on Magog," which is Russia, the land of Russia, "and among them that dwell carelessly in the isles, and they shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh Bashmel." Right? Because the Most High is against God, but he's going to use God, which is Russia, to ultimately shoot those missiles. And at the same time, he pulls up and he finishes the job and destroys all the armies over there. Okay. Isaiah 34:1, it says, "Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people, let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord Yahweh Bashmel is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them, he hath delivered them to the slaughter." So ultimately, this the Most High gathering the host together, pursuant to Isaiah 13:4, right? He has already destroyed them. He's going to destroy them now in our time. It says, "Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood." because ultimately the nuclear missile is going to be shot, right? The house shot pulling up with the chariots and fire laser beams shooting forth from it, right? And that's why you have continue, continue employment. We're going to sever out men to bury the bodies. Ezekiel 39:12, in 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying of them. Yeah, from 11, Ezekiel 39:11, it shall come to pass in that day that I will give unto God a place thereof of graves in Israel, the valley of the passengers of the east of the sea, and shall stop the noses of the passengers, and there shall they bury God and all his multitude, and they shall call it the valley of Hammergog. In 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying of them, that they may cleanse the land, right? Which is a period of time. It says, yeah, all the people of the land shall bury them, and it shall be to them a renown the day that I shall be glorified, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmal Shai, and they shall sever out men of continual employment, because the Israelites will be in their kingdom, and they won't be doing any work, right? We will have servants for that. You get Isaiah 14, 1, 2, 3, going into that. It says, and they shall sever out men of continual employment, passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it. After 7 months shall they search. So it's gonna be a lot of dead bodies to be buried there, right? It says, all right, so going back over here. So America is, they heard report them, and it hands wax feeble. This is 2nd Edges 15 and 32. Then these shall be troubled, bled, and keep silence to their power, and shall flee. And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them, and consume some of them, and in their host shall be fear and dread and strife among their kings. Behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. All right, let me grab this over here. All right, so I can bear with me. I want to get that the clouds. Oh, this was it. Actually, Ezekiel 38. We're gonna come back to that. So going back into those clouds right there, those clouds can represent army, right? And ultimately, what they will represent is the nuclear missiles being shot. All right, but like I was reading earlier, where Russia is to be prepared, right? It's verse 38 and 8, Ezekiel 38 and 8. It says, after many days thou shalt be visited, in the latter years thou shalt come into land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel. So Russia eventually is gonna, and Russia and everyone that's joining Russia will come against Israel and against America, right? Which have been always waste, but is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely all of them. And what has been allowing them to dwell safely is America. America funding them and giving them like the Golden Dome and these different things. But the fact that the Most High Yahweh Bashmal Shai turned Russia back, Russia has missile capabilities that are now able to, go against, Israel, and they can't do safely, basically, right? They don't have any more defense, right? Even America can't defend them, because also Russia now has nuclear missiles too, right? So that's a power that America, really don't want to face, basically, because they're kind of matched, but Russia has better capabilities in these last days. Ezekiel 38 and 9, it says, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. Thus said the Lord Yahweh Bashmal Shai, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think of evil thought. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates. See that they're dwelling all good, being protected by America, but Russia now has the ability to literally, they have weapon capabilities that can't be intercepted by any defense capabilities in the world, basically. So it's like they're dwelling safely, and that's only because Russia hasn't attacked the ass yet, basically. All right. It says to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of nations, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. We had the desolate places because it was desolate. We left. We got to run over, taken over 70 AD, right? But those Edomites are in the land now, right? The heathen. It says Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles unto the time the Gentiles be fulfilled. So they're over there, you know, in our land and whatnot. So going back over here. So as you can see, the clouds, is represent like an army. All right. So yeah. So second Ezra 15:34. Behold, clouds from the east, from the north, and to the south. Yeah, very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. They shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth. And once again, that's why I say it represents the army, but ultimately represents the missiles, right? Because these stars represent the missiles, right? Revelations 8 and 10. So Revelations 8 and 10, it says, and the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of water. And the name of the star is called wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. Yeah, what is that, like nuclear radiation, whatever the case may be, right, from a nuclear missile, right? Let me get Revelations 6. 13, sorry, 12. Revelation 6 and 12 says, and I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake. Right? Isaiah 24 says the earth shall roar to and fro like a drunkard, but it's going to do that because of the nuclear missiles. Ultimately, we just had a mini earthquake happen in Israel near their nuclear testing site. Right? So they're saying that they tested a nuclear missile on the ground, and it made the earthquake just from that one, right? And I believe Russia has over like 5,000 silos or whatever, like the missile launch system that can hold multiple warheads, right? It says, and Revelation 6 and 12, and I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. The smoke and all of that, in the sky and all of that. You get Matthew 24, right? Regarding the time to come, Yahweh return. And like I said, Yahweh will pull up at the same time that these things are happening, because he's going to destroy the armies, and also he has to pick us up because we're here, right? Matthew 24 and 29, it says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Yeah, because the stars, which is another example here, is representing the nuclear missiles that will be shot, right? And earthquake is going to happen because of that, right? It says, then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Now here the clouds here are talking about the chariots, right? It says, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Right, and ultimately we need to be delivered from those nuclear missiles hitting wherever they're going to hit, mainly Israel, and America. All right. So going back to Revelation 6 and 12, it says, and I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell upon the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when it is shaken as a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it's rolled together. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Yeah, so the nuclear missile does great damage. And that's what happens when the nuclear missile hit. It rolls together, like a scroll. I'll just continue. Revelation 6 and 15, it says, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, ultimately going into your bunkers, right? They get in bunkers and things like that. It says, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. Ultimately, because at the same time, like I said, Yahweh Shah is going to be pulling up. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? No one. All right. So let me see. So that was the stars, right? So second Ezra 15 and 35, they shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star. And that's the point. That going back to basically Iran, they're speculating whether Iran is going to have a missile or not, and ultimately they will, right? It says, they shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star, and blood shall be from the sword unto the belly, and dung of men unto the camels who, you know, and it's just a lot of death, right? And there shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon the earth, and they that see the wrath shall be afraid, and trembling shall come upon them. Yeah, and it talks about the shipmasters bewailing, America, because of the destruction that comes upon them. Let me see if I can find that. Revelation 18, and just get it from 9. It says, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buy her merchandise anymore. Yeah, so they're gonna be fearful and mourning, all these different things that will be taking place, right? It says so verse 37, 2nd Ezra chapter 15, 37, it says, and there shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon earth, and they that see the wrath shall be afraid, and trembling shall come upon them. And then shall there come great storms from the south, from the north, and another part from the west. And strong winds shall arise from the east, and shall open it, and the cloud which he raised up in wrath, and the stars stirred to cause fear toward the east, and west wind shall be destroyed. And ultimately, this is Ezekiel 39, right, where basically, Russia and everyone that's joined Russia will also be destroyed, right, because this is going into the destruction of America. But the Most High is against all these nations, right? So reading that again is 2nd Ezra 15 and 38. It says, and then shall there come great storms from the south and from the north, and another part from the west, and strong wind shall arise from the east, and shall open it, and the cloud which he raised up in wrath, and the star stirred to cause fear toward the east, and the west wind shall be destroyed. The great and mighty cloud shall be puffed up full of wrath, and the star, that they may make all the earth afraid, and them that dwell therein, and they shall pour out every high and eminent place and horrible star. So basically just going to the nuclear missiles being shot. It says fire and hail and flying swords and many waters, that all fields may be full, and all rivers with abundance of great waters. And they shall break down the cities and walls, mountains and hills, trees of the wood, and grass of the meadows in their form. Right, and that's why you have. When you read this Joel 2, it says, and they shall go steadfastly unto Babylon and make her free. All right. It says the terrible visitation. Joel 2:1. It says, blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain, let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord Yahweh Bashmawashah is coming. Right? For it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, there have not been ever like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. And that's because ultimately, once we take power, we're going to burn up all the weapons. And there has never been a time where weapons like this have existed, right? It says, a fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yeah, and nothing shall escape them. So this is going to nuclear missiles, right? Before it hits, is as the Garden of Eden. You know, everything is good. But after it hits, it's a desolate wilderness. It says nothing shall escape them. All right. So that's why I was talking about these missiles, you know, burning up the meadows and the hills and the grass and the corn and everything they have there, all their substance. It says, they shall come to her and beseech her, the star and all wrath shall they pour out upon her. Then shall the dust and smoke go up into the heaven, and all they that be about her shall bewail her, right? And they that remain under her shall do service unto them that have put her in fear. And ultimately, we understand and know that at the end of all of this, you know, our kingdom is set up, and Yahweh Shai pulls up pursuant to Second Ezra 13. And anyone that is left will do service unto us, right? And you have what is Isaiah 2, you know, explaining that. Second Ezra 13, in 1, it says, and it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. Now beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with 1,000 of heaven. So this is Yahweh Shai coming with the chariots. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth felleth when it filleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had raised himself a great mountain and flew upon it. Now this is the fathership, right? A gigantic chariot. It says, I will have seen the region or place where out the hill was raven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, and yet durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue cast of sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which were prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. All right. So, you know, ultimately, this is Yahweh Shai coming when that great war is taking place and finishing the job ultimately. All right. So yeah, that's pretty much the point. Oh, so I had these things right here. Like when we go back to the Carmenians, because you got the Dragon of Arabia and you got the Carmenians. So I searched the Carmenians, and the Wikipedia is talking on a region. It says a historical region that approximately corresponds to the current province of like basically Iran. All right. And it says it was a province of many Iranic empires, such as Medes, and we know Medes is the Russians. They're going to be joined with them. And also, I'm going to get Jeremiah 51 actually, because I forgot about that. And then I said Iranic empires, and it shows you like, you know, Iran mainly, right? Iraq is there, right? We know Turkey is going to be joined with Russia and whatnot. We got Armenia. Armenia is there, going to be joined with, you know, Russia, pursuant to Jeremiah 51 that I'm about to get right now. That says, I basically asked, was Iraq and Iranic empire? Because, you know, recently in the news, you know, we have America leaving out of Iraq, right? And immediately, Iran and Iraq meet up and they were shaking hands, you know? So, you know, all Bible prophecy is definitely, you know, coming together and coming to pass right before our eyes, you know? This is Jeremiah in 50, Jeremiah 51 and 25 says, behold, I'm against thee, O destroying mountain, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai. right? This represents America. Mountain represents, the kingdom. It says, which destroyed all the earth. And I will stretch out mine hand upon thee and roll thee down from the rocks and will make thee a burnt mountain. From what? The nuclear missiles. It says, and they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner. Remember, Joel 2, it says, before them the Garden of Eden, but after them a desolate wilderness. And they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for a foundation, but thou shalt be desolate forever, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim says, set ye up a standard in the land. What's the standard? The Bible, right? Blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together against her the kingdoms of Arya, right? Minia, which is, this goes into Turkey, it goes into Armenia, and it goes into Germany, right? And Ashkenaz, right? Appoint a captain against her, cause the horses to come up as the rough calculators. The captain is the Medes, right? Says, prepare against her the nations with the king of the Medes, the captain thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble in sorrow, for every purpose of the Lord Yahweh Bashim shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without inhabitant. It says, the mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holes. Their might have failed. They became as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end, and that the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burnt with fire, and the men of war are frightened. Right? It says, for thus said the Lord Yahweh Bashim, the power of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her. Yet a little while, and the time of harvest shall come. All right. It says, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, have devoured me. He have crushed me. He have made me an empty vessel. He have swallowed me up like a dragon. He have filled his belly with my delicates. Right. He have cast me out. Right. And ultimately, in these last days, America has taken, the Most High's people, taking over the temple, right, taking over our land, right, and all of these different things. So this is for the controversy of Zion, right? The Most High Yahweh, Bashim is about to destroy this devil, for all the things that he have done, and he's going to use Russia, Iran, and the rest of them to do it, and he's going to destroy these people too, right? The armies, because we still going to have servants and people, right, to rule over. So Lord willing, you will edify from the lesson. Shalom to those select, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom. Matter of fact, I had this map too, to kind of show you, because Iran is definitely there. Right, and you got Turkey, right? So, and this is Levant region where they're going to be taking place, and it says many people would be with Russia. So we'll just have to see, who joins up. But right now in the world, this whole area is against America attacking Iran. All right. Turkey is not happy about it. Iraq is against it. Syria, we have yet to see America still in there doing things like this. Saudi Arabia is saying we're not going to allow you to use our land to attack Iran. So it's a lot happening, right? And we're about to see. So Lord willing, we'll edify from the lesson. Shalom to the select, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.